Good afternoon, 49er faithful. It is Saturday, and we are here to talk Niners. It is the Sneakerhead call-in show. Been a little while since we were able to do the call-in show. Very excited to bring it back. We will have it back with regularity. Want to make sure that we get everybody in, have a chance to get your voice heard. That's the way in which we always approach the Sneakerhead call-in show. It is week 14. The Niners are clearly going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tomorrow at Levi's Stadium. Some big storylines going into it. Hey, Brock Purdy against a formidable defense, a ninth-ranked defense there in Tampa Bay. Certainly a stiffer test. With that defense preparing for Brock the entire week, Tom Brady, the GOAT of this generation, coming home to play in Santa Clara, close to his hometown of San Mateo. Going to have a lot of friends, family in the stands. You know, this may be the last time, unless Tom comes over to San Francisco. That's a whole nother topic. This may be the last time that Tom actually gets to play at Levi's. Freudian slip there. He never had the opportunity to play at Candlestick with some bad injury luck back in 2008. Big storyline for Tom Brady, no doubt about it. I'm anxious to see if this defense can continue to live up to the hype. That will be something I'm watching. Want to give a shout out to those that were here in the chat prior to the Stivers Niners 209 show. Says Rob, I am pumped. Tom Brady and Brock Purdy will play each other tomorrow at 1:25 p.m. at Levi Stadium. Go Niners. I'm doing a live version of the parking lot. Hey, if you're going live from the parking lot, I will be tuning in. That is fantastic. Chris Royal in the building and down below in the waiting room. We're going to get to Chris in just a moment. Says, back in the house, baby. Let's get it. Bang, bang, Niner gang. Alan Elizer also going to be coming on, making a guest appearance on the show. Says, Rob Schuh, Sneakerheads, and all the faithful, good evening. Let's go Niners. May the force be with the Niners and not Brady tomorrow. Gore that like button. Dustin Kohler in the house, liking the content. Dustin, good to see you, my friend. He's throwing the like in there. You know he's throwing the like in there. Raphael 5629er Sneakerhead here on the channel as well says, what's up, Rob? Sneakerheads and everyone. Ellis 10 Sneakerhead coming into the building, just saying Niners. Quesadilla Thrilla 71. What's up, Niner fam? And Ellis 10 saying hello. Rachel coming in to say hi. Jan is here. Hey, brother, stoked for the matchup. 19-17 Niners. Let's freaking go. I believe that score prediction of a close one is a good one. I really do. Jan coming back in to say, run CMC, that like button. Yes, indeed. Tommy Huxley pointing out TDP inactive. Is that already announced or a guess going into it? Also saying Bosa won't play. They will certainly at least manage his snaps if they do allow him to play. But you have the more important matchup coming up on Thursday. I think I'm behind that decision to not play him. If there's going to be a game that he misses, I'd rather it be Sunday and be back in on Thursday. Luke Walsh coming in to say hello, Sneakerheads. And Kieran coming in to say, what's up, Rob? Let's go Niners. All right, we got everybody in the building. We've said what's up. Here we are bringing in our first member of the stream. We haven't seen him in a little bit, and it is great to bring him in. Chris Royal in the house. Chris, looking fly as always. It is very good to see you, my friend.
It is very good to see you too.
Hey, so obviously we are on a winning streak in the midst of some of the laps in Sneakerhead call-ins that we have had. What has been your overall impression, your sense of optimism, and how much was it impacted for you personally when we lost Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy stepped in and albeit looked really good in his debut?
My impression of the offense is we've started to get in our flow together the last 3-4 weeks. The defense has just been insane. Like we took a step back there, with the Chiefs, but that's a good offense. So you can't expect them to really shut them out or anything.
No,
and
absolutely not.
I thought Brock Purdy played pretty darn good for, being a third string quarterback, not getting really any first team reps and then having to come in, and he essentially played the entire game. So he helped us win against a really good team.
Yes, absolutely. And the defense had a lot to do with that, but Brock played well. And to your point, had to step in cold and did so looking poised. And I do think it speaks to, I know that we like to grab onto these storylines, and we did it with Nick Mullins, and we all know how that ended up turning out. But the way in which people speak of Brock Purdy's preparation for the game is very impressive, right? Taking all of the same practice reps on air after practice with the backup quarterback's coach there, so that, or backup offensive assistant, whichever it is, the younger Kubiak that is still with the coaching staff. It's those extra mental reps that allow for someone to have the confidence that his teammates described. Trent Williams got into that and said, hey, it's not arrogance. It's just a sense of assuredness. And when you can come in with that, I don't know, knowledge that you're going to understand fundamentally what you're being asked to do, then you're not thinking quite as much. And it often feels like that's the pitfall for rookies, is overthinking it.
Yeah. And I like his attitude. I like after that first touchdown, how he celebrated, that was cool. He kind of let it out. Really the only mistake that, I saw that was bad was the interception. And I don't even think it was that bad. I mean, it was a 50-50 ball.
Right.
It was like Xavier Howard, who happens to be one of the best corners in the league. You throw a 50-50 ball to him, it's probably going to get picked off.
Right.
So, I can't hold that against him.
No, because, it is that aggression that apparently was one of the things Shanahan liked about him in deciding to keep Brock Purdy over Nate Sudfeld. And again, as long as he can keep the touchdown to interception ratio high, higher touchdowns, lower interceptions, obviously is what I mean there, then I'm going to be okay with him still continuing to be aggressive, taking those shots, in particular when it ends up being a, down the field pass and more of an early punt than a turnover or a pick six, something like that. So I agree. I was impressed from what I saw of Brock Purdy. I have also been continuing to be impressed with Jordan Mason. And over the last 3 games, his carries have continued to climb, ending with 8 carries in the last matchup. Do you anticipate we will see more of Jordan Mason? Are you liking what you're seeing there? And should he get double-digit touches going forward, so long as Elijah Mitchell isn't in the picture at the moment?
I hope he gets more, because I'm going to go out on a limb and say that he's probably got the best vision out of all 3 of the running backs. Like, from what I've seen, I mean, he finds the holes and he hits it aggressively. And you just don't see that out of, Christian McCaffrey and even Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah,
they're a lot more speedy and a lot more scat back type running backs, but he has really good vision, and I would love to see him get more touches.
He has a very physical run style as opposed to that elusiveness, as you mentioned. I agree. I think that additional touches for Jordan Mason allow for fewer touches in the heart of the defense for Christian McCaffrey, allowing him to focus more on getting catching passes out of the backfield, because he is elite as a wide receiver, not a wide receiver, but a pass catching back. I wanted to bring in the super chat from Lycan4647, who is a sneakerhead here on the channel, giving us a prediction. Purdy goes 25 of 30 for 250 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. That would be a spectacular game, and I would imagine that puts us on the winning side against Tampa Bay if he were able to put up those 3 touchdowns. I don't anticipate that Tampa's going to be able to hang 20 on us. I think we're going to be able to keep them in between 10 and 19 points scored. I don't think they will crest 20 points. Do you believe Purdy is going to have an efficient day, or are you more on the side of myself, Jack Hammer, who see it as pretty likely that Tampa Bay's defense is going to stymie our offense at least a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, this is probably the game where he's going to struggle the most. I mean, Tampa's defense is no joke. So, I mean, I can see him, hitting about 65% of his passes. I think it's going to probably be less than 200 yards passing, to be honest. I think if he gets over that, it's going to be a lot of Christian McCaffrey, short passes dumped off and let him make the plays. Or even Debo in that regard. So he's going to need a lot of yak from his playmakers in order to get the kind of passing yards to get up to that 250.
He will. I think it's entirely possible, because of what you just hit on right there, that Purdy's skill set does continue to match up well with the yak bros across the 49ers offense. So it's possible for this stat line to absolutely occur. My guess, and let me say that his first full start at Iowa, he tore it up. I think he threw for 4 touchdowns there. So he has experience stepping into first full starts and excelling. I'm not going to say he can't do it. My guess is with Tampa Bay's defense, what they're going to be able to do, some interior pressure. Although he handled the pressure well last week, I see this as a tougher matchup for Purdy. But I like the bold prediction by Lycan. Schnozzle Shabizzle coming in to say, what's up, Rob? Can't wait to see these rookies cook. Happy Saturday, 49er fam. 187 coming in to say hello. Dustin, I got to give you credit. Dustin's a Michigan man. You know, we support fans of other fan bases here in the chat. Dustin saying, sadly, I'm not going to root against a Wolverine, but excited to see Purdy. I know you're going to be torn. You would have been torn if it was Brady versus Garoppolo. Jimmy G is still on the Niners, Dustin. So I want to throw that out there that maybe there are cross allegiances here. All right, so what are you most excited to see in this matchup, Chris? Specifically, if you're looking at the offensive side of the ball, are you still eyes glued to Christian McCaffrey? Are you worried about Jawan Jennings rounding into form prior to the playoffs? Not to say that he hasn't. What are you primarily focused on the offensive side of the ball?
You know, to be completely honest, I'm completely focused on Purdy and seeing how he does against a top 10 defense. I mean, you know, if he can hang in there like he did last week and, you know, make smart decisions and stuff, you know, it's not out of the realm of possibility that he takes us deep into the playoffs. So that's kind of my focus. I think we're good everywhere else. Like defense, I'm not worried about, you know,
right.
Christian McCaffrey, he's going to do his thing. Debo's going to do his thing.
Special teams is going to do their thing, apparently.
Absolutely. So I think the biggest like storyline right now is how, you know, Purdy handles, you know, a solid defense.
Yes, absolutely. This does feel like a test for him in that regard. Bringing in Victor Mendoza's comment here for us to discuss. Victor says, Rob, what's your opinion about Kyle not considering Trey Lance coming back from his injury this year? I actually view this as the smart long-term play. It doesn't feel fair to me to try and thrust in a less experienced quarterback trying to come back from injury too soon when there was already enough, I don't know, uproar about the transition, enough of the fan base that I'm not going to say was rooting for him to fail, but didn't seem to be fully behind him. It just sets up poorly for me where there's too much pressure on Trey Lance. And I know some people would argue, well, no, you're giving him a chance and he's going to absolutely take advantage of that chance. But to me, again, it feels unfair. I like Shanahan's approach here. I think so long as you continue to view Trey Lance as your long-term answer, that's the more conservative and viable approach to this is give him a full offseason, continuing to get ready and start fresh again next year. Chris, do you take the other side of that, or do you agree that you'd rather Lance start fresh after another offseason?
Yeah, you know, I would assume that Shanahan's not going to tell you anyway if he's going to start him or Garoppolo because, you know, he doesn't want to tip his cards to anybody. But I would agree that I think if you have Jimmy Garoppolo coming back in the playoffs and Trey Lance ready in the playoffs, I would play Jimmy Garoppolo. One, because Trey Lance hasn't really played all year, so he's not going to be very efficient. We've seen Jimmy Garoppolo be efficient, and Jimmy Garoppolo's probably not going to be here next year. So if there is a re-injury that happens, I would, you know, God forbid, I would rather it happen to somebody that's not going to be on the roster next year as opposed to Trey Lance, who could possibly re-aggravate something and then just, you know, not have him healthy for next season.
Yeah, that would be a nightmare scenario. Absolutely. Again, I see him as the future, and I think that is the safe way to view this. All right, so what is your prediction for tomorrow's game? How do you think it is actually going to turn out? You thinking it's a tight defensive matchup, a little more low scoring? What is that score prediction for the game?
I'm calling 49ers 20 and Tampa Bay 14.
49ers 20, Tampa Bay 14. I like it. It's a solid victory for the Niners that would cover the spread. Do you see this as one where the defense contributes, or are you looking for Purdy and the offense to get a reasonable performance against Tampa Bay's 9th-ranked defense?
Yeah, I mean, I think Purdy's going to probably throw a couple of interceptions this game, so I could definitely see, an interception return for a touchdown on the Bucs side. I think most of the points that we score on our side is probably going to come offensively.
Hey, I would absolutely take that. In a game in which we win it reasonably handily, Brock does throw those 2 picks. Are you going to be second guessing him or looking at it as, no, this was the tough defensive matchup, and so long as we walk away with that W, I'm happy with Brock and encouraged going forward?
Honestly, if he throws a couple interceptions, I'm not going to be mad. That's a top 10 defense. So as long as the other stats and the W's in the column, I mean, I'm not gonna bat an eye to it. I'm not gonna say he's not gonna do good. I mean,
yeah,
most quarterbacks against that kind of defense is probably going to struggle a little bit. So it is what
they
it
are.
Is.
Even if it had been Jimmy Garoppolo, this would have been one of those games where, hell, it could have broken out like Denver. Well, I like that. That is a measured approach to look at the entirety of the game and not just whether he was able to hold on to the ball and not turn it over. I think it's going to be an exciting game. I'm very excited to watch and hopefully steal the glory from Tom Brady. That would lift me up.
I'd be okay with that.
Yes, I would too. Well, as I said to start this off, man, always looking fly as all get out with the gear. I appreciate seeing you again and talking football, talking Niners, and I look forward to doing that again in the very near future, my friend.
I will definitely see you next week.
All right, Chris, you take care and enjoy the game.
Have a good one.
Thank you. All right, we are bringing in Alan to the stream. Alan, good to see you, sir. It has been a little while. I hope that you have enjoyed the 49ers win streak. I know I certainly have.
Oh, yes, 100%. My Jerry jersey has led us through.
Yes, sir. I remember on that last call, you had a regimented approach to the way in which you were going to sway the tide through choice of jersey, and very clearly it worked. You hit the absolute right combination of jersey needed to change over the luck.
Yes, sir. Hey, I'll take whatever jersey's winning. So if it happens to be Rice and we go all the way to the Super Bowl and I don't get to wear my Debo jersey, then oh well.
It is what it is.
It will start the season next year.
That's right. On a fresh slate. I think that is wise, my friend. Very wise.
Yeah, but
so what's been the highlight of this win streak for you? Are you pleased as punch with Christian McCaffrey? Anything the offense is doing? Are you still on the defensive side of the ball? What do you feel are some of the keys to the Niners being where they are right now, controlling their own destiny?
I'm going to give it majority right now to the defense. Even though Jimmy's been doing so well, and now, knock on wood, Purdy's can take over and keep it going.
Yeah.
But the defense has been stout. I don't care that for the first game in 4 or 5 games they gave up points in the second half. So what? They still got the W, and it was very efficient. And the rookie led that win last week.
Yes,
you got to give that one to Brock. You know, that pass to Juszczyk, the pass to McCaffrey, that really key pass to Kittle across the middle with that dude in
third
his
down.
Face. Yeah, with that dude in his face, just like. If it were me, I'd been like, "Go ahead, sack me. I'm done." I wouldn't be able to focus on that. Like even in Madden, I can do it, but in Madden, it's that third eye view. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you're not about to get the wind knocked out of you by some huge human being.
Exactly, but it's like, whoa. But the fact that he did that, I have total faith that he's going to be fine this week, even going up against the top 10 defense. It's going to be a rough week. It will be a rough week. It will be one that he's going to learn from. And I'm not sure if he probably throws at least one interception.
Sure. It seems reasonable with the amount of pressure that he'll be facing, probably trying to be aggressive and score some points.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be CMC, and I'm hoping it's going to be Trey Mason, but they brought up Coleman today
They
off the
did.
practice
Tevin
squad.
Coleman. I had heard someone suppose that, hey, maybe Jordan Mason's going to get the bulk of those second back carries, and they brought up Tevin Coleman to take over that spot or contributing on special teams above Tyrion Davis-Price. I like that. I will be, I don't know, somewhat irritated if we yet again skip to the Tevin Coleman, because I know what we have there. And what I'm seeing from Jordan Mason is continual improvement week after week. And to this point, his snaps had continued to go up and that efficiency was staying high.
Yeah, totally agree. Because like Chris said, I think he's got some of the best vision in our running back room.
Yeah.
Between him and McCaffrey, what is it? Like, I think McCaffrey's getting like 4 yards a pop and he's getting something like 5.5 yards a pop or something for
It's
Jordan
wild.
Mason. So I'm going to, CMC is going to get his touches one way or the other, whether that's through the air or on the ground. He's going to get his touches. And I think what it's going to have to come down to is Kittle, Ayuk, and Debo stepping up and making sure they get open on those passes as fast as possible. And
create separation early. I agree.
Create separation early, exactly. And get third and Jawan going.
Yes. He's so clutch. He is so clutch.
Just get third and Jawan going early. You get those third downs to Jennings. That's going to boost it's going to boost the roster. And it has every week that you get, one or two of those third and Jennings, just boom. Just how'd he catch that ball? Like on the sideline, how'd he get those 2 feet down? Like,
I love it.
So yeah, I think it's going to come down to the offense is going to get the majority of the points.
Yeah.
For fantasy though, let's get Fred Warner a pick six, and
I could use that in a couple of leagues. Hey, I got it. I only have 2 independent defensive player leagues, and in both of them, I got Fred Warner rocking that spot.
Yeah, and I have him in my league with a lot of my friends. So it's
the bragging rights league. Anytime they're your buddies, those are the most important ones. Coming down to the playoffs, are you looking like you're gonna ease in there and make a run at the title?
Probably not. I'm sitting in one league at 5-8, and another league 3-9. Or
got to play spoiler. Then you got to knock somebody out of the playoffs. That's the genius part of it. Well, I love it. All right, let me get to a couple of comments here. Randall Riley talking about the Bucs wide receivers. Bucs don't have speed at wide receiver. They play more physical, which benefits our back end, which also is a physical bunch. I will say, I thought Miami versus us was one of the most least advantageous matchups for our defense. So I agree that when we get back into a more physical, bit of a slower group, that does benefit the 49ers and the ability to cover. Godwin is the one that worries me and his ability to create separation. He's such a good fundamental route runner as a wide receiver that he does seem to separate, and Brady will find him pretty consistently. That would be the most intriguing matchup. I'm not terribly concerned about Julio Jones, that's for sure. Do you agree that this is a bit of a better matchup for the 49ers D than it was last week with all that speed in Miami?
Oh, 100%. Our defense, especially our DBs, they're scrapping right now. Like,
yeah,
Tavarius, didn't he not? I know Moore's out, but didn't Ward? He was dealing with both Wards have been dealing with some ailments in the last
and they've been fighting through it for sure.
And Huff's been playing lights out. If he doesn't get a Pro Bowl nod, I don't know. Like, he's been playing lights out. Even on his bad games, he's been right there in the mix.
I haven't seen the fan Pro Bowl voting for Huff, but I feel like he's not been top 3 or 4 in that. So I feel like as Niner faithful, we got to step that up. We got to make sure we are sending out those tweets, retweets, and getting our fan vote for Huff, because I agree. It would be a shame if he had this kind of season and didn't get the recognition.
Yeah, and then we just the corners, all of them are playing, really well with our losses early in the year. And Diamador Lenore, he had a good week last week. Let's hope that he can have another good one this week.
Yes, Demo looked solid.
Yeah, and And having Jimmy Ward right there, just play the nickel because there's such a slower offense. If you can stop Mike Evans and the tight ends and everything, and you keep everything in front of you, we're going to be fine. And I honestly think, kind of like Chris did, somewhere in the 20-14, 24-17 range with a Niner victory.
I like it. I absolutely like it. Ket D coming in 27-15 Niners. A little bit of a more lopsided score there. I absolutely love that. Let's look at this one, a real quick one before we wrap this up. And by the way, we may have a little bit of time to do a roundtable. If we do have some time at the end, maybe we get all four of us onto one screen, and anyone in the chat right now can think of some good roundtable topics. If you're thinking of a roundtable topic, just put in RT or something like that at the beginning of your comments so we know it is a potential roundtable topic if we get there and everybody is down for that. So 14 Ace Windu comes in to say over under Tom going through 1.5 tablets. I'm going to say that we frustrate the hell out of Tom Brady, and this has been a frustrating season for him. They are hovering at 500, 6-6. I know he'd be pissed to go 6-7 in front of his home crowd, in front of his parents, possibly his last time playing against the San Francisco 49ers, his childhood team. So if we do frustrate him, I'm thinking minimum 2 tablets. He's got to break 2 of them on the ground. So I'm taking the over on this.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I love it. I love it. Any final thoughts on what you're looking for in the game tomorrow?
Well, I'm a clean game. Just play offense, play defense, play special teams, just an all around, everybody's involved, and it's not one-sided that decided the whole thing like what kind of was last week, which was kind of cool. The defense with that pick six there at the end, or that fumble 6 there at the end, that was just like, what? Did that really just happen?
Yes. Well, I think that is a fantastic call, and I'm absolutely looking forward to it. There was one last one here that I'll put in. Luke Walsh coming in, Rob Schuh. I'm guessing Shanny likes Coleman because of pass protection and hot routes. That absolutely could be the case. If we see Tevin Coleman playing above Jordan Mason, I think, Alan, both you and I would be slightly disappointed by that. And if it is because of the Bucs' ferocious defense and wanting to maximize protection for Brock Purdy, I can at least get behind that logic, even if I would still be disappointed not to get the production from Jordan Mason on offense.
Yeah. If it's a passing situation and Coleman's in there, then okay, fine. He does have that, that dog in him that's just can pass protect better than Mason could. Mason's still learning all that stuff.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
I'd 100% rather have McCaffrey in there in that situation.
That's fair. Honestly, the dump off to McCaffrey is just a special option for this offense. It really does take it to the next level.
Yeah, because they can't cover everybody.
Yes,
they can try.
They cannot. And most importantly, they can't double team basically anyone, right? They could barely double team Christian McCaffrey because that opens up George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. It is just chaos for opposing defenses. This will be a big test for Brock Purdy, but again, a big test for Tampa Bay's defense coming up against the Niners.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to be what it's going to be. And I'm going to stick around. If we have a roundtable, I'm totally down to get in on that.
I love it. We have one roundtable topic already coming in about Javon Kinlaw. We will talk about that. Anyone else who has a roundtable topic in the chat, hit that RT before your topic so that we can throw that comment in there as well. All right, fantastic, Alan. In just a few minutes, we will get that roundtable going, and you will be back on, good sir.
Awesome. See you then.
Looking forward to it. All right, we are bringing Bullpup into the stream, the potential third member of our roundtable coming up, if in fact interested. Bullpup, welcome to the stream. Oh, we lost signal. We may just have a 3-person roundtable coming up. I will give just a moment for Bullpup to come back on in case it was simply a phone crashing or a lost internet connection. We've got a couple of chats to get to. Anyway, again, if it is a roundtable topic, throw it in there with that RT. Bullpup is back in. We'll get to him just after this comment by J. Cruz 49er. Rob, Purdy just needs to seize this chance. He just has to move forward, playing from the shoulders up. He has an opportunity most people dream of. He can make his mark and be part of NFL lore forever. It's a great point, Jay Cruz. He could be, let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is me playing in the hypothetical. I'm not making any predictions. I'm not, excuse me, I am not trying to lay any pressure on the 49ers. But let's be honest about just how talented this freaking team is right here. And let's say that Brock Purdy has an absolute chance to enter the NFL history books by being the first quarterback to take a team to the Super Bowl and then just go ahead and win it, to cement his name into lore of the NFL, because you can only be the first once. That cannot be undone. Even the greatest of all time, some of their records are fragile because people come along and unseat them. No, this would be a permanent seat at the table, first one to ever do it. I feel like Purdy has that kind of magic. All right, let's bring in Bullpup to the stream. Bullpup, how are you doing this afternoon?
Rob, my friend, how are you?
I am doing very well. Glad to be back here talking Niners with sneakerheads.
On a Saturday afternoon, can't beat
Doesn't
it.
get any finer.
I love it. I love it.
Yes,
Hey,
sir. So how have you been enjoying this long 49ers win streak? Have you been living it up? And what is it that's really stood out to you throughout that process?
Well, been kind of a roller coaster ride, especially with Jimmy going down.
It has.
I honestly thought Jimmy was playing the best football of it as a 49er.
I think he was. It was certainly his most efficient football as a 49er.
So, Brock Purdy, I told you from training camp, you dismissed me. I told you, hey, watch out for Brock Purdy. I remember.
Yes, I do too. And I am not afraid to admit when I'm wrong.
So, but that's a good thing, right?
That is absolute. I am so glad to be wrong. Just like when I was wrong about Jimmy sticking around on this roster and it potentially being chaotic. No, turned out that was a good decision. And keeping Brock over Nate, absolutely a good decision.
Yes. I mean, you saw it since training camp, since the first time he took the field. He looked exactly the same as the first time he took the field in a real game.
Yeah.
There was no difference.
He was very aggressive and clearly knew what he was doing. You could see him going through his progressions. He was elusive in the pocket. Certainly some of those rollouts, he looked good. He has that short area quickness as evidenced by his 10-yard split time at the combine, further evidenced by what we saw on the field. And clearly the moment wasn't too big for him.
Yeah, he definitely passed the eye test. I really don't care about the interception. That was a punt.
Right.
I mean, Howard, he was just playing for his stats. I've coached teams before, and if a DB ever intercepted a ball on fourth down, I would be so mad. They lost like 20 yards on that play.
Yes. Yeah. That was definitely it worked out better for us in the end result.
Yeah. So to me, like others have said, it's a punt.
Yes.
That was basically a punt. So that's
absolutely
fine. So I like to get the feel for different fan bases. Kind of gives me a sense of where, you're kind of let your opponents kind of let you know where you're at, what they think about you.
Yes.
What's
your sense of the Bucs fan base?
The Bucs are kind of lukewarm, just like their team.
And they are sitting at 6-6, right? So, I suppose a fan base only gets so excited, but you have Tom Brady in what might be his final run. I would think they'd be pretty hyped. He already got him one Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't. They're not as hyped as they were back then.
Honestly, Brady looks like he's aged a couple of years in just this one season. And I wouldn't doubt that it has something to do with the personal turmoil that he's going through. That
for sure.
What we go through in our lives absolutely weighs on us in every aspect. And I don't wish that upon anyone. And so it does. Like, he looks a little bit sucked up to me. I could see people thinking the magic is gone. I believe that's underestimating just how much magic that dude seems to have. So I stay ready, and I hope the Niners defense stays vigilant. But I could understand why there's less belief he can simply carry a team, because he hasn't been able to this point in the season.
And overall, what I'm hearing, there's like one person they really respect in our roster, player-wise, and that's McCaffrey.
They do have a lot of experience with Mr. McCaffrey.
Yeah.
They've seen that firsthand.
So, but overall, not just the Buck fans, but overall, there is one player who I wouldn't say gets disrespected, but he gets a little bit of hated on, which to me tells me you're either doing something really good or you're bad. And in this case, I think he's doing something really good. The person, if you watch closely, the different fan bases are going to hate on Huff.
Yes. Do they pick on him because of his speed, or what's the criticism?
I don't know. Anything they can pick on, they will pick on him. They just love picking on Huff. I think it's a little bit of a jealousy situation.
Yeah, hitting on a late round draft pick.
It doesn't help that Troy Polamalu is helping him out and mentoring him. So there's a little bit of jealousy there.
Right.
So, and to me, he's not playing bad. So must be the other thing that they're being jealous.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I mean, jealousy is a hell of a thing, and it can drive us to do strange things, making random comments about a clearly kick-ass player who is having a hell of a season.
Oh, yeah. But it's just one of those guys that I guess is easy to hate if he's on the other team.
Yes. Now, speaking of easy to hate, do you have any feelings of animosity against Mr. Brady? Do you have any spite towards the gentleman, or do you just say, hey, no nonsense, it is the Niners versus the Bucs, it has very little to do with the potential GOAT?
Well, you can't go with the whole serendipity moment of Mr. Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, Mr. Nobody gave him a chance, going up against the GOAT, who was in a similar situation that nobody gave him a chance, towards the end. So it's very you can't brush that aside. You can't.
I think it's a storybook thing for Brock to come in with not too much pressure on him because of the fact that it is he versus the GOAT, and really set the stage, really write some notes in the history book. Like,
hey, young man, if you want it, it's right there. Go get it. You have the team that's going to ride it for you.
Yes, J. Cruz 49er says something similar. Says Purdy just needs to seize this chance. He just has to move forward, playing from the shoulders up. He has the opportunity. I read this earlier, but it's still true. It really is. Sorry, I'm stuck on the roundtable topic there. So I saw J. Cruz's, and it just does agree with me that, this is the chance for Brock to seize it. By the way, I see roundtable topics coming in, and I appreciate those with the RT in front. We are going to get to those in just a moment. So, Bullpup, before we go to the roundtable, how do you think this game is actually going to break out? Are you seeing a fairly low-scoring defensive matchup? You think Brock is going to have success? What's your prediction?
Well, once again, it goes back to how Shanahan is going to attack that defense. I mean, it sounds like a broken record, but it's true.
Absolutely.
The way to beat this defense is you're going to have to be very patient. You're going to have to be very methodic, and you can't shoot yourself in the foot.
That sounds like a low scoring affair to me. Reasonably conservative. Don't take too many chances. Stay away from the freaking penalties that set you back and put you in second or third and long, where that interior pressure is going to get to Brock before he's able to get it out or to the line to gain. That sounds to me like the kind of matchup that could be 16-9, 13-10. Is that what you're feeling as far as final?
Like a 16-19 kind of affair. It's going to be a sock'em. I doubt one team will be able to exert over the other one, especially, this is a good team.
Very
Tampa's
good team.
A good team.
Yes. and getting better. They are 6-6, but they are improved from the first quarter of the season to the second quarter of the season.
Yes, I agree. But it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be incredibly important that we get our run game going.
Yes, it is. And that's going to be tough to do against that defense.
It's going to be very tough to do, but I think the one thing that I've noticed is that, for lack of a better word, the big girthy nose tackles always have a negative impact on the Niners offensive line.
Yes.
So I don't know. I don't know where I would rank Vita, but he's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, gotta be top 5, right? Like, he's in that conversation. So absolutely game wrecker right there. All right, you ready to go into a roundtable here? We'll bring 4 personalities on. We will rotate through the 4 of us and get to some of these roundtable questions that people like Stephen McGinnis have kindly put into the chat with the RT for us.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, we are bringing back in Chris and Alan to the stream. Fantastic. Our first topic, gentlemen, welcome back. First and foremost, is from Stephen McGinnis. Says, what does Kinlaw's future look like? So, I mean, I'll start it out that I like the prediction that the 49ers are holding back just until we get through Seattle, and then they're going to give it one final go. Does that give me confidence that Kinlaw is going to be able to play the remainder of the year? I'll be honest, no, it doesn't. And regardless of whether he is able to finish out this year, I suspect that he's going to struggle to get that 5th-year option. He's going to struggle to get a big next contract. He's got some proving to do before anyone's going to sign him to a long-term deal. He may be headed after his rookie contract for a 1-year sign it, prove it deal. But I would also expect that it's possible that 1-year prove it deal is with San Francisco because of what Chris Kosera can do for him if he's able to stay healthy and manage that knee. Plus, the Niners play on grass, so that does benefit him. Going down and then over, Alan, how do you feel about Javon Kinlaw's future and what it looks like to you?
Basically the same, because to me, so far, he's been a bust. He hasn't. The amount of time he's spent on the field is next to nothing, and that's since his rookie season. And I'd be fine giving him, that 1-year prove it deal. And if he gets hurt again, then you cut your losses at that point. Or it's kind of hard to give him that 5th-year option because that 5th-year option is going to be expensive,
pretty pricey. Yeah, they jump up pretty considerably. He was, I want to say, pick 14, so it's a little more reasonable, but it's still going to be, I don't know, 7-8 million. I doubt the Niners pick it up. I think that you're right about that. And it's a shame because he's just missed all that time because of injury. And so while I tend to stay away from that bust label because of the injury, like, he hasn't produced. That is just a fact. And whatever the causes may be, very unfortunate, but those that is the way it has played out. How do you see it, Chris? Do you have any optimism? Do you think he's going to be able to finish out the year when he does come back? Do you think he will come back?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. He has 1 more year next year, right? And
yes,
then they can pick up
for sure. The
okay.
Rookie contract is 1 more year. When I say will he come back, I'm referencing this season.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be back this season.
No.
I don't even think he makes an appearance in the playoffs, really, unless if we have some injuries where he needs to hop in there. But I mean, he's just been out for so long. I don't know how he'd be physically capable of doing it.
And if they don't start his practice window at some point soon, eventually it will close, and that will be it, right? So either he'll get healthy enough to contribute, or he won't. Bullpup, do you have any optimism about him coming back this year and contributing, or any thoughts on the future?
Well, let's get one thing straight. Kinlaw and Armstead in the middle is a formidable tandem.
Yes, it is.
So we need that tandem, especially if we're going to make it a payoff push. If we're serious about making a playoff push, this team is better with Kinlaw in the lineup, period.
Yes. I will say between the two, I think Armstead is the bigger key to the defense, but I agree that Armstead and Kinlaw is better than Armstead and Hassan Ridgeway, although I give credit to Hassan Ridgeway for playing really well this season.
Sure, but it's just it's just a better he's just a better player.
Yeah.
When healthy, when motivated, and that's been the key is when.
Yep.
That's the downside.
It really is. It really is. All right, we got the next one's a quick hitter, and we're going reverse order, so we're staying right there with you, Bullpup. Raphael 562 Niners says, will Mason get over 10 carries and average 5 yards per carry? I'm going to put in the or more because I think that's the intended message there. So will he still maintain 5 yards per carry, getting 10 carries? What's your feeling on that, Bullpup?
He'll get to 10, but I don't think he's going to get to 4.
Okay, so you're saying, yeah, he'll get those 10 carries, but he won't against this stingy Bucs defense get the 5 yards per carry. I think that's a very reasonable take on this. I like reason. Chris, what's your feeling on Mr. Mason?
Yeah, I'm right there with him. I agree that he'll probably get that 10 carries, but that front seven is pretty damn good. So I don't know if he'll hit that 5 yard a carry.
Real ferocious. And that is I think the prudent way to go. Alan, are you feeling prudence or are you feeling optimism here?
I'm feeling a little optimism. I'm thinking it's going to go about 5.1 yards a carry. Just right over that 5 yards a carry. Just his vision can be that explosive. You just have to wait and see, but I think his vision's going to be there. And he may even explode one out for a touchdown. That's
what I'm thinking, is that he does get himself 11 or 12 carries in this game, and it gives him a better chance to break one of these because he runs so physically that in the second half, I could see defenses getting tired and him breaking off one of those big ones. I am taking the optimistic view as well.
Can I add something in there real quick?
Absolutely.
Our run offenses the line hasn't been doing the run very good justice. So that's why I would say that I don't think he hits that 5 yard a carry. But, if he breaks off a couple big ones, then maybe it gets him up over that. But
yes, I think that is very solid logic. By the way, I saw this as a roundtable topic, but I just want to bring it in. Jonas coming in from Norway just to say, hey, he says, hey, Rob, trying to join as a member, not working on my current card. Any chance I can still call in? I'll do a different card. I'm from Norway, so maybe that's the issue. It just might be. Unfortunately, I can't throw the link out without making it completely public. And because of what happened a long time ago on a different channel, I just hesitate to do that with putting people on video. But Jonas, if you have any issues, you can email me at 49ersmailbag@gmail.com. I'll try and help you out as well. Sorry we couldn't get you on the program today. Hope to have you on the program in the future. All right, we will get Randy's roundtable topic in here. It's Super Bowl Sunday. Jimmy, Trey, and Brock are... Oh, it's Super Bowl Sunday. Jimmy, Trey, and Brock are healthy. Who is the starter? This is a high drama topic. Randy, Daytona, throwing it out there. All right, Alan, we'll start in reverse again. How are you feeling this would shake out? So this doesn't give you the hypothetical of who started the NFC Championship game and who won that game to get us there, which seems like very relevant info. But let's just say it was Brock who got us all that way, and now we're in the Super Bowl. Jimmy, Trey, and Brock are all healthy. Who are you starting?
I'm starting Brock, 100%. He's the hot hand. He's on fire probably if we win the NFC Championship game with him. He's on fire. He's probably going to be lights out. You're going to go with the hot hand. He's going to be the starter, and if he struggles, you might see Jimmy come in there in like the second quarter.
Brock starting, Jimmy coming in. Now, does that answer change if it was a different quarterback who was in the NFC Championship game? Are you sticking with the hot hand regardless of who that is?
I am. I'm optimistic that Jimmy can be back.
Yes.
And I would love to have him back out there, but I wouldn't throw him in just like Harbaugh didn't throw Alex Smith back in when Kaepernick was lights out.
Right.
You got to run with that hot hand.
It is easier to throw the veteran back in there, hoping for that resurgence mid-game, than it is to throw the rookie trying to get that spark. So I think it's reasonable to think that a hot hand might be the approach for Shanahan as well. Chris, do you have a sense of which one you're going with in this scenario? Again, hypothetical, saying Brock is the one that got us there.
I would say how he got us there is the big key.
Did he throw 3 interceptions and the defense scored like 7 pick sixes? Yeah, that matters, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, if he has like a Jimmy Garoppolo game back in the playoffs where he threw 8 passes, I mean, are we really going to want to run with a Super Bowl with him? Like he didn't really do anything to get us there necessarily. So I would say it depends on how he plays. If he's a big reason why we're winning games, and hell yeah, you keep him on there. But if he's not, and he could be a liability, then I would bring Jimmy Garoppolo in.
Okay, so now we've had hot hand. We've had it depends on how that freaking victory took place. Bullpup, what is your thought to this hypothetical wherein Brock has carried us into the Super Bowl and now you have all 3 available?
I'd say play them all 3.
Ooh, weave in
Have
all
packages.
3 through.
Have packages. So start whoever you want. It doesn't really matter who starts. We're going to have some packages for Trey, midway through the second quarter, get some long balls, loosen up that defense or whatever it is that we're playing. In the red zone, if Brock has shown that he's efficient in the red zone like he's been showing, well, guess what? Brock goes in the red zone. So it's a hypothetical question. So I have leeway. I have leeway. So
you've got a lot of leeway. You can play with a lot of the various hypotheticals. I like that answer. I do. All right, we're bringing in a super chat before we get back to those roundtable topics. Again, putting in the RT before the roundtable topic so that we know you are proposing a roundtable topic for these 4 fine gentlemen. Scratch that. 3 fine gentlemen and me. Here we are. Daryl Granville, sneakerhead here on the channel, says, will Brock Purdy be able to get the ball to his weapons? Will he act as the John Stockton that we need within this offense, distributing the rock? I'm going to take this first because it feels like a reasonably easy answer in my book. And I think, yes, his skill set very much feels like it matches up with what this offense was trying to do underneath Jimmy Garoppolo. He's just a shade slower as far as his release. Clearly has a great understanding of the offense for a rookie coming in who hasn't had the practice snaps other than running the practice scout teams. He looked confident. This is the test for me, but I still believe he will get the ball to his weapons, even if he struggles a little bit in this test. How do you feel about it, Bullpup? Do you think he's going to do a good job of distributing the rock?
Yes. So it depends on what the defense of the Bucs does as far as trying to confuse him, right? He's a rookie. They're going to,
They're
Miami
going to blitz him a lot for sure.
Well, maybe not. Miami tried blitzing them and they paid the price for it.
That's true. I'm just assuming Todd Bowles follows true to form, but you could be right that he's smart enough to switch it up.
Yeah, it's make him think. Give him one look and switch it out.
Yes.
Will he be able to give it to his weapons? Yeah, he will. The question is, in what position is he going to be able to give the ball to Debo in a situation where Debo can be Debo, or where there's going to be like 5 people around him?
Right. Does he get it to him with room to run?
Exactly. Is the check down with McCaffrey going to produce? That's the real question. Is he capable of giving it to his weapons? Yeah, I think he will. Absolutely. I think the real test is going to be tackling. Yeah. Are the Bucs going to be able to tackle? That's the big
Do
question.
We get those yards after catch? I think that is a very astute observation of how successful those weapons will be. Chris, how do you feel about this super chat? Will Brock Purdy be able to get the ball to his weapons? Hold that thought while I just throw in, because we had that hypothetical and some people with comments have asked, but Syjan, is Lance healthy now? No, that was a pure hypothetical of what if all 3 quarterbacks were healthy in the Super Bowl. Lance is currently ruled out by Kyle Shanahan, so that hypothetical of him being available feels very unrealistic. Still possible, but not probable in my book. Lance is definitely not healthy now. Neither is Jimmy. The only available option is Josh Johnson behind Brock Purdy. So getting back to that, go ahead, Chris. What are your thoughts on Brock Purdy getting the ball to his weapons?
Yeah, I think Kyle Shanahan will drop a game plan that, lets him, get the ball to people. I mean, he shows that he's pretty darn accurate with it and he makes good decisions. So I don't have any doubts that he'll be able to get the ball to him. It'll just really depend on our offensive line holding up.
Yes. Can they hold strong against a strong interior rush by the Buccaneers defense? All right, closing out the topic with Alan, what are your thoughts here on BP being able to get the ball to his weapons?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Especially if Ball stays to form, sending those blitzes, I think we're going to beat the blitz.
Nice.
He's not afraid of those big 300-plus men coming at him.
I like a good blitz beater. All right, before we get to, we have another super chat that we are definitely going to address, Randall Riley, but Quesadilla Thrilla 71 comes in, says, if Purdy wins the Super Bowl and Jimmy goes bye-bye, do we have another year of quarterback controversy again? I wanted to get to this one because it feels almost inevitable that there will be some level of quarterback controversy, but let's say that. So Brock Purdy does win the Super Bowl, so he's now the freaking hometown hero of the 49ers. Jimmy leaves in free agency, and you have Brock and Lance both on their, early in their rookie deals. Do we have a quarterback controversy starting there with Allen? Do you believe that there would be the call to stick with Brock, who had just won a Super Bowl, again, in a hypothetical here?
I think there's going to be talk all offseason, if that's the case, that Brock won the Super Bowl. And I think it's going to come down to who wins it in those preseason games and in minicamp, because
yes,
it's going to be ridiculous if it wasn't a controversy. Even though Lance is our number one,
very clearly our number one,
he got hurt in 2 games, and Jimmy led us the rest of the way. And then if Brock gets us to the Super Bowl and wins the Super Bowl, I think he's hands down the starter until proven otherwise.
That makes a ton of sense. Going back to the hot hand topic, Chris, how do you feel in this hypothetical?
I mean, there'll definitely be noise for him to keep the starting job. But again, I think it just depends on how he plays. I mean, if he's along for the ride in the Super Bowl and it's the defense is just shutting down the team that we play, I mean, it'd be hard to, give him the reins if he didn't really earn it,
Yes, absolutely. If he is just one of those 5 or 6 quarterbacks that has been carried by an elite defense, that does feel really tough to say, no, the guy that we've spent so many assets on to bring in Lance, we don't want to find out what we have there. Then again, that is the sunk cost fallacy, to worry about how much you spent on one guy versus how much you spent on the other. Eventually, you just want the better of the two. Bullpup, how do you feel about this hypothetical where Purdy wins it all? Do we have a quarterback controversy?
This is San Francisco. Of course we have a quarterback controversy. It's
almost
in our
regardless
DNA.
of what happens.
It's in our DNA. That's what we're all about.
Yeah, going back to Joe Montana versus Steve Young versus Steve Bono, you name it. It is in our DNA.
Elvis back every once in a while.
Yes. I like that. So you are an emphatic yes, quarterback controversy.
Oh, absolutely. How can you not?
Yeah.
How can you not? It's you draft a guy, you give it 2 first round draft picks.
Yes.
You go get him. He has a ton of potential. You put your hat on him. And then this guy comes out of nowhere, literally Mr. Irrelevant, and he wins a Super Bowl. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
and
there will be.
Yeah,
frustrating
absolutely.
to think, but a good problem to have. Frustrating to go through. Good problem to have. By the way, I just want to bring it in. It's not a roundtable topic, but I got to say what's up to my man, CJ Gray, Sneakerhead here on the channel. Also regular contributor on the call-in show. Been in the chat later on. Wanted to make sure that I got one in. Saying, if we keep the scheme like Jimmy, then we should be okay. Purdy just needs to not screw it up. I do think that fits within what this offense as a whole has to do. Put it on their shoulders to be efficient and to not turn the ball over, really leaning on that defense. That feels like the way to go. And we've got our last super chat here from Randall Riley, Sneakerhead, here on the channel. Thanks for the great show, and the Roundtable rocks. Appreciate the takes, and my 2 cents is the Bucs score 10 points or less. I love this comment. We are right here at the end of the hour, so I want to take this as the final topic and say thank you to Randall Riley for the super chat as well. But just throwing it out there, how do you all feel about the 49ers defense ability to hold the Bucs to 10 points or less? Do you think that is a viable outcome, or is that bordering on the line of absurd? You can't keep Tom Brady, regardless of how he struggles. He's coming back to Santa Clara. He's going to have this storybook freaking game against us. How are you feeling about the defense holding them to 10 points or less, Bullpup?
I don't think it'll happen, but it's definitely I'll tell you, it's definitely in the realm of doable.
Yes, it is in the realm of possibility.
I feel that good because I've seen how our defense is playing, and I've seen the Saints do a good job against Tom Brady. And
they should have held him to 3 if it weren't for some mismanagement at the end of that one.
So I don't think we will in this game, but can they? Yes, they can.
I love that. Good clarification point. Chris, how are you feeling? You had the Bucs scoring 14, so your prediction is not far off of this. Does it feel like a stretch to hold them to 10?
I think our defense is good enough to do it. I just don't think they do it. I think Tom Brady's good enough that he's going to get the points, especially if he is down. He's going to be passing a lot, and he can pick apart zone defense pretty darn well.
Yes, he can. In particular, if he is in a game at the end, don't count that man out. And if it's a low-scoring affair, regardless of whether the Niners keep it lopsided throughout, if it's low-scoring enough, he will have a chance to come back as he did against the Saints. Alan, take us home on this one. How you feeling about the 49ers' ability to hold the Bucs to scoring 10 points or less?
I think if they only get 10 points in the first half, then yes, because I don't see Brady having a normal Brady day in Santa Clara. Every time he's played the 49ers, the Niners have, well, I know back with Harbaugh, we took that big lead and they almost came back on us a long time ago, but I don't see our defense giving up much in the second half, if anything. So
I love it. They
totally
are
in the realm.
Stout second half defense. They have been feasting. Randall coming back in to point out, hey, potential rain game, and Tom doesn't like pressure. No, he does not like pressure, and this defense should be able to bring some. I am going to close out that topic by saying I believe the 49ers defense does hold them to 10. I've been feeling a low-scoring affair in this one, and I'm going to go ahead with my prediction at the 49ers 16, Bucs 10. I think we will be on the edge of our seats because Brady will be within one score at the end of the game, and that will make us all pucker up a little bit. But the Niners will take it home, 16-10. My final prediction. I'm overjoyed to have gotten back to doing another Sneakerhead call-in show. I want to thank you three gentlemen for being on, and in particular for being able to do the Roundtable. It has been a little while since we've had a Roundtable episode, and I think the people enjoy it, and I know that I enjoy it. Bringing in those that are making the predictions in the chat as well. Sijin is pretty close to my prediction there, saying 17-13 49ers, a 4-point advantage covering that spread. I agree with Quesadilla Thrilla. This was a phenomenal show. Great show, y'all. Go Niners. Thank you guys for all being on. I will be doing the pregame and the postgame tomorrow. Hope you all can join in the comments section. And until the next Sneakerhead call-in show, cheers, faithful.